Hello and welcome back. In this video, Lee is going to be implementing the hard edge brush, but something interesting is going to happen as of this video, correctly?
Yes, what's going to happen is the way our system is put together, we're not going to be able to demonstrate the results of our hard edge brush. And in the next video, when we work on our raising sculpt tool, we again won't be able to show you the results. We're not going to be able to show you the results of each of these implementations until we get through all of them in order to put all the pieces together to be able to modify our mesh. So what we're doing is we're putting in code that's going to allow us to sample points along our hard edge brush. The next video will be taking our sculpting tool and modifying those vertices, but they're modifying vertices in memory, but not the vertices that make up the mesh that you see on the screen. And then there's more code that we have to put in place to make the terrain sculptor figure out what terrain patches we're working on. And then after all those videos, we have to go and apply those changes to the actual mesh that you see on the screen. So until we get all those various pieces put together, you're not going to see anything. So we're just going to be going through code.
So as you can see, when he says pieces, he's not talking about the hard edge brush, then the soft edge brush and the noise brush, the stencil brush, and the different sculpt tools. He's just focusing on the hard edge brush and the raise sculpt tool, and then all of the underlying structure that's required in manipulating the vertices as we instructed them to be manipulated with the tool and brush, before we can see a result and move on to the other tools and brushes.
Right, but the nice thing is once we've completed all the steps for the very first brush and sculpt tool, all the additional brushes can be added at any point along the at any point. So later on you can go, oh, I need another brush. You can add it and it'll work immediately once you plug it into the system. You need another sculpt tool. You just put it in and it'll work. But until we have all the groundwork in place, we can't show you the first one. So we're going to work with just one brush, one tool, get it completely worked through our entire sculpting pipeline, show you the results on the screen, and then we'll come back and we'll deal with the other brushes and the other tools.
Exactly. All right, with that, where do we begin?
The beginning?
All right, sounds good to me.
All right, so this one is, all that talk is leading up to something that's going to pretty much look pretty anticlimactic in the end. So here's our sample for our hard edge brush. All of the brushes pretty much work around taking a sample. So we have this public method that's called sample. We're going to tell it that we want to sample the height at this point. Do whatever you need to do to give me the height that's going to be at this point, and here's the size of my brush, which is it's going to need to help calculate what the sample point's going to be. So we can get rid of, well, my mouse is doing funky stuff right now. We can get rid of the debug line, and we'll create a new variable. This will be our sample, and we're going to set it to 0. So by default, if we don't calculate anything other through our algorithm, it's going to return 0. And then we're going to return that sample, but we're going to multiply that by our opacity. So whatever our opacity is, we're going to multiply our calculated sample height by that, and return that out. Now, let's calculate what our sample is going to be. We're going to do a conditional that's going to take our sample point. We're going to check its magnitude. So if you remember, sample point's at vector 2. So we're going to check its magnitude. And we're going to compare that to our brush size divided by 2. So if our sample point's magnitude is less than half the size of our brush, then we want to return a height or our sample value of 1. Now if you remember, this brush is designed to be a go, no-go. If you're within inside of the radius of the brush, you're going to get a value of 1. The moment you go outside, you get a value of 0. By using a magnitude and calculating it based off of our sample point, which is going to revolve around the center of the brush, we're getting out a value that is going to be circular from the center of our brush. So this gives us the effect of a hard edge brush with no fall off. Like I said, it's kind of anticlimactic. We did all this work getting up to this point, and then all right, here it is in 2 lines of code.
Okay.
So, but that's pretty much it for this video. The raising sculpt tool is a little bit more tricky, so don't worry. You got off easy on this one. We'll make up for it in the next video.
All right. Well, with that, that's going to wrap this one up, and we will move into that next video where we will be implementing the Raise Sculpt tool. Thanks a lot.